Hello, what's up? This is Mr. Gray. I just really want to say thank you for participating in this workshop, right? This is the Team Stronger Together and the Care Center Student Activism Workshop. Student activism has a long history in this country of making changes happen, like good things that our community needs, our families need, that we need and our friends need, right? So we'll just go through this together. And at the end of it, I think we'll have something. I know we'll have something that will help make changes happen in our schools and in our city and in our communities. All right. So I'd like to start with a poem by Marianne Williamson. It's called Our Deepest Fear. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. And we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, handsome, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be all of those?
Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children do. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
So what's that poem about? It's about preparing. Well, there's a lot of cool meanings with it, but really it's about preparing people to be powerful. Like when we face up to the fact that we are super powerful, that we have a lot more like importance in this world than people give you credit for, then you're going to lean into how dope you are and how amazing you are. All right. So that's what this is about. You are all powerful. We need your power and your energy. So what I'd like you guys to do first is you have handouts that look like this. So grab them. And then here we go to the directions that go with these papers. So these are data sheets, or sometimes people say data. So whatever, data sheets that the Care Center students looked at way back in September. And they found some really interesting things about what was going on in our community. And then, of course, what was also going on with the people in Long Beach, right? So there's two sides. One is about our environment. What we're talking about today is how can we make people's mental health and physical health better? Like, how can we help people? How can we encourage people to do better with their mental health and their physical health? And one part of it is the environment around us, like what's going on around us. So as you look at the side, it'll say environment data, like this, data on our community environment. What is this data telling you? Like, what is the information telling you? And then brainstorm with your group or individually at least one action idea that can be taken to help our environment, like what is available in our community, like where can people go to eat, or in terms of how expensive housing is, like anything like that, right? What can we do to help the environment support the community? And then secondly, is this one is data on our community lifestyle habits and outcomes. And this is about how people are feeling and like their illnesses and stuff like that. What is this data telling you? And then brainstorm at least one action idea that will help our community members to take action on their health. All right, so pause this, take a few minutes to go over that, and just like really think through as you look through it. As you can see, look, it has how easy is it to go walk and get a 40 ounce as opposed to how easy is it to walk to a store and get like fruits and vegetables, right? And this is a big city and there's only 8 farmers markets. and only half of them accept EBT or WIC, right? So that's the environment one. That's what we're talking about. And then our lifestyle habits. So the chronic diseases that wreck our community, like diabetes, pre-diabetes, even cancer. And this is not judging anybody or blaming nobody, like, right, that's been sick or passed away in our families, or our friends' families, right? No, that's not what this is about. However, there are things that we can do that will help us, like, not have these illnesses that are really messing up a lot of our lives, okay? So again, these are the two data sheets. Take a few minutes. What is it telling you? And can you come up with something that you think might help? All right, ready, go. All right, cool. I hope that was, somewhat like enlightening, right? So now this is the sheet. You guys have this as a handout also. This is what we're going to use to work our way through this and end up with what we're trying to get at the end of this. All right, but before we do this worksheet, I'd like you to watch Dr. Lisa Dumour. She's really just like talking about how important what we call in the care center 4 life skills for a lifetime. What are those? Like your physical health, meaning like sleep and what you eat. Are you exercising? Are you drinking your water? Another life skill that we teach and talk about, oh my goodness, is gratitude. Are you practicing gratitude? Another one is catching your negativity, like how much are you worrying and complaining, all that kind of stuff, gossiping, staying stuck in the past. And what's your relationship with stress? Are you using breath work? Do you know how to use it? Are you using it? And how do you deal with stress? All right, so let's watch this. And you can see she's a really good psychologist, like how important just the basic things are. All right. And then, think about, well, how much of that are we teaching to you guys here at school?
One of the things that I loved that you initially ask a kid who comes into your office is how you're sleeping, right?
Yeah,
It's like, before we even do anything or talk about anything, like, what does your self-care look like? Like, are you even able to, be present with me? Because are you overlooking like one of the most fundamental things about just being okay in your body?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I'm almost hesitant to talk about sleep because I think everybody knows it. We've all heard it. We know we're supposed to do it. And yet the data on it are so ridiculously clear about it being the glue that holds us together. But I have learned clinically that when people are in crisis especially, I will start with the question of sleep. And if they're sleeping, we will get down to work on working through the crisis. And if they're not sleeping, I will get down to work on figuring out how to help them sleep so that we even have a chance of getting them through. And I think that this is something that we underestimate. And one of the questions that comes up a lot now is like, what about kids where they can't get care? Like they actually need care and they can't get care. And it's getting better, but it's still not great. And part of what contributed to the adolescent mental health crisis was both the surge in need and the reality that caring for teenagers is a highly specialized field. Very few of us do it. And it's basically impossible to scale up the workforce. And so the two together made for a really tough situation for teenagers. So there have been a lot of teenagers on wait lists. There still are a lot of teenagers on wait lists. And what I'll say to parents is, look, it's not a substitute for therapy, but make sure your kid is sleeping. Make sure your kid is physically active. Make sure they're eating well enough. Have them do purposeful things. Put them in positions where they're doing service or activities. These things don't take the place of a really good clinician doing really good work, but they go very, very far, often in both reducing mental health concerns and certainly in helping to prevent them. another cardinal rule in psychology is self-esteem does not come from people telling you that you're good. It comes from doing things that you feel good about. It has never been easy to be a teenager or to raise a teenager. And, one of the kind of broad ways we can walk up to it is to recognize that one of our cardinal rules in psychology is that change equals stress. And I think about if you put a 12-year-old next to an 18-year-old, right? You're not even looking at the same species anymore. And that is so much change in an unbelievably short span of time. There's no way it's not going to be stressful for the kid who's going through it and for everyone around them.
All right, so like I said prior to watching the video, those things are super important for all of us, teenagers and older folks like me. However, we didn't get taught that stuff in school back when I was in school, and it's still to this day, things have not changed that much. And maybe you've been taught them, but are you using them? Are we giving you space to practice them? All right, so this is our student activism session. Right? And the purpose of this exercise is to use your voice and your power to bring the changes that you decide, not me, but you decide need to be made to our education system and to our schools. All right, so this is a quick little exercise. And using a scale of 1 to 5, right? So 1 is on the low end of the scale, like whatever I'm asking you, which is how much emphasis does school put on grades, your academics, and standardized testing. So you're going to rate it from 1 to 5. So 1, if you put a 1, that means that schools are putting little emphasis on that stuff. All right? Or none. Up to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you think that schools are putting a lot of emphasis on grades and academics and standardized testing? Standardized testing is like SBAC, iReady, all that kind of stuff. LPAC, man, whatever, all the acronyms. So go ahead and do that now. All right. Secondly, using that same scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being very little to none and up to 5 being a lot, how much emphasis does school put on your mental health and your physical health? 1 to 5. Okay, I've done this with a lot of different groups. But it'll be interesting to see what you guys put. And it doesn't matter what other people are putting. It matters only what you put. But kind of check around and see what other people have put. It'll be interesting, I guarantee. All right, here's the next part. And again, you're just doing short answers, nothing crazy amount, right? So thinking about trying to do well in school, do you believe it is possible for schools to emphasize good mental and physical health and for you to still do well in school? Is it possible for you to emphasize good mental health and physical health and still do well in school? Why or why not? Just short answer. Cool. Here's the next part. We're close to being done, actually. What are your thoughts on how to help students that are struggling academically, and or, meaning it could be both or just the one or the other, that are struggling emotionally at school? What would help students want to do their work? This could be talking about you, could be talking about anybody. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, it matters a lot, but you know what I mean? Like, what are your thoughts on how to help students? What would be the best things to do to help students that are struggling, with their grades or just in general, like emotionally, mental health, physical health, all that kind of stuff? All right. So now that you're done with that part, there's a couple more little things to do. But before we get started, I want you to meet David Bidlers from Physiology First. And a doctor asked him, look, what would really help classrooms and schools? What's the biggest thing? And it's interesting what he talks about. He's talking about, teachers. And this is no judgment. None of this stuff is judgment stuff. We're not putting nobody down or anything. We're just trying to find answers because a lot of students and a lot of teachers are struggling. Just like it says here, why don't we struggle together and lift each other up? All right, so watch this short video and see what he says. What's the most important thing that schools and classrooms and teachers can do?
What if there's someone listening to this, David, who's a personal trainer or a teacher at their school who says, you know what, you're onto something, but I don't know what to do. Like, I'm a personal trainer in a gym and there's no infrastructure set up for this. Or let's say that teacher is saying, well, this all sounds great, but we've got the school curriculum. We're in this system that I don't particularly like.
Which we hear every single
Yeah.
day.
So maybe we can take these two as scenarios, because I'm absolutely certain that will be happening. For that teacher, what is one small thing you think they can introduce into the school day that would make a meaningful difference?
Embodying these principles through their own actions and the way that they show up. Co-regulation is the conversation that isn't happening right now. You're regulating my state, Rangan, by being such a wonderful, genuine, thoughtful host here. And if you were angry or anxious or exhausted, I would feel it off of you and it would change my behavior and my level of comfort here. And the same is true in every single environment. As the leader, you regulate the environment. You set the temperature. You're the leader. If you're in front of the class, if I'm leading a seminar, that person is regulating the state of the room. And the simplest thing, because we can do the most complex thing, the simplest is when somebody's able to reclaim the relationship with their physiology necessary to master themselves and show up with some level of that mastery intact when the day begins to, fall apart. All the kids, their nervous system will fundamentally respond to that. You are regulating the nervous system of the entire class. And if that sounds like a lot of responsibility, it's the most beautiful kind, because health has to be modeled in order to be taught. Otherwise, it's a charade. We spend so much time building the trust, because that's the foundation for communicating these principles. Otherwise, to your point, I would say to parents and coaches, just put up a chart of the 10 best health tips. That's not how we learn.
No.
We have to learn through experience. But it's going to take the educator to either say, this school supports health, so I'm allowed to have kids move and breathe, or this school doesn't support health, in which case we can create new schools.
Each of you individually, just take a minute or two, a few minutes, and brainstorm. Like, come up with just a bunch of ideas, and use free thought. And free thought is this technique of like thinking outside of the box. Try not to think of just basic traditional ideas. So use these two techniques, brainstorming and free thought, on how schools would look or how schools would act that better met the needs of students. So take a minute. Can you visualize? Can you see in your mind's eye that type of school that you think would be really cool and amazing, where people are still learning, not just chilling all day, oh my goodness, but really learning valuable stuff, things that will help you in your life. So visualize it and then try and put it into words, okay? Just take a few minutes. All right, now we're on the last part. So now that you've put down some ideas on different things, like what schools look like, good schools, how can we help students that are struggling? Now, as a group, talk with each other if you can, right? And share ideas, see what other people are thinking, and see if you guys are thinking in a like mind, or cool stuff that you didn't think of that they did, and vice versa, that you thought of and they didn't, right? And see what you came up with. And after you spend a minute or two talking with each other, this is the end product. I'd like you to format your dope thoughts into a short speech. It could be 1 minute. I put 2 to 3 minutes, but it could be 1 minute, 2 minutes, but no more than 3 minutes, right? And what does that look like on a piece of paper? So you write it down, and it's really a letter. It's a letter to the school board. It's a letter to the City Council of Long Beach, because they deserve to hear your voice. They need to hear your voice. Your voice matters. Students have been making changes throughout history, all right? And it's time for us here in Long Beach to really focus on, mental health and physical health and what you think will work to help students be successful, all right? So like a 2-minute, 2.5-minute speech looks like basically one page of handwritten work, okay? So that's the goal. Write a speech. And then if you're willing, make a video recording. All right. Because this is like we're making a documentary about how we're working to change our community for the good, and how we're working to change our school for the good. And they need it, our community and our schools. You guys saw the statistics earlier in the lesson. Man, we need you. We need your expertise and we need your amazingness. All right. So I appreciate you doing this. Take the time to do it, right? Turn it in. It's going to be dope. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. All right. Peace.